Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
How is it going, everyone? Are you guys still excited for the upcoming sessions?
Can you tell us from 1 to 10 how excited you are?
Okay, it seems like you guys are having enthusiasm for the next sessions. And since we are about welcoming our amazing speaker, Mr. Ashwad Ismail.
But before that, let's keep the energy up. Or should we check the enthusiasm by doing our tagline? Do you guys still remember our tagline?
Okay, let me remind you of it. When we say International SPEC 2024, you can respond with find the truth with transparent and quality journalism.
Okay, let's do it.
International SPEC 2024, find the truth with transparent and quality journalism. Wow, thank you for your enthusiasm, everyone. Okay, shall we just continue to the next agenda?
Sure, but wait a minute. I want to tell all of you to fill out the attendance link for the second session that will be sent in the room chat.
That's right. To all the participants, please fill out the second session's attendance link in the chat below.
Okay, now let's welcome our moderator back to the Zoom.
Hi, Ukaasyah. Are you still with us here?
I'm still with you all.
Hi, Ukaasyah. Did you have your lunch?
Yes, I have. Thank you, MC. And how about you all?
Yes, we just have our lunch.
Okay, Ukaasyah, are you ready to lead the second session with Mr. Ashwad Ismail?
Okay, I'm very ready to lead this section.
Okay, since Ukaasyah is already here, we will let Ukaasyah to taking back over the Zoom to lead the second session.
To Ukaasyah, the time is yours.
Okay, MC, thank you for giving me the time. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Ukaasyah, the moderator of today's seminar. I'm very pleased to see you here again and welcome all of you to this seminar. Today's seminar is, the title is Build Public Trust in the Press to Face the Problem of Disinformation. And our speaker today is Mr. Ashwad Ismail. For introduction, let me read the CV of our speaker. Our speaker today is Mr. Ashwad Ismail. He is head and editor-in-chief in Astro Awani. Ashwad Ismail, an award-winning journalist and the youngest editor-in-chief in Malaysia. has been a key figure in establishing and leading Astro Awani since its inception in 2007. Its innovative leadership has consistently positioned the channel as Malaysia's most trusted news brand for 6 consecutive years and earned it the accolade of Asia-based use of artificial intelligence in 2024, highlighting his pioneering approach to digital news broadcasting. In addition to his passion in journalism and international relations, Aswad was appointed president of the Malaysia-Indonesia Journalist Alliance or ISWAMI Malaysian chapter in 2023. Before the presentation begins, let me inform you how the presentation will be going on. First, Mr. Aswad Ismail will be invited to begin a discourse section. After that, there will be a question and answer session followed by a conclusion. For the great explanation in this discourse section, and then allow me to welcome the speaker, Mr. Ashwad Ismail. Mr. Ashwad Ismail, are you here?
Yes. Hi, guys. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And a very good afternoon from here in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. I hope everyone is well.
Yeah. How is your day going, Mr. Ashwad Ismail?
Well, not too bad. Everything is good. I guess a lot of challenges, but then as long as you enjoy the problem, as long as you enjoy the crisis, and as long as you enjoy the challenges, and that will keep you going.
It's a great. And now I'll give the seat to Mr. Ashwad Ismail to deliver this discourse section. Mr. Ashwad Ismail, the floor is yours.
Was I guess best is to have a Q&A with regards to at this particular moment. I really hope that this particular session will be a dialogue between us and it's not just a one-way street. I would love to receive and to respond to all the questions rather than it's just a one-way street. But what I can share with regards to the current challenges in the media industry, there are many layers of challenges. I would say at the same time possess a lot of opportunities as well, and not just in the realm of a media consumption, but also building a trust around the ecosystem. And that is very important in terms of understanding why trust is important. It's not just the matter of believing in what you are reading or what you are watching, but more of understanding there are many sides or perspective around one particular matter. In this particular juncture or in this particular era where the post-truth era, sometimes even truth are debatable. From academic perspective, I guess this is interesting where even truth have many sides of perspective, and this is interesting journey, or this is an interesting era where a decade where we're going to see the intersection of society, intersections of governmental affairs, intersections of business that will be reorganized and will be defined by technology. And in this particular moment, in this particular era of where media consumption has changed, the way we consume or the way you consume content has changed tremendously. It's not the same anymore, and you have a lot of, for example, platforms, and platforms defined as a place, the go-to place for you to consume information. And information is not just one particular piece of information like before. And what we have seen, tremendous data will be produced in 1 second, and you guys will receive those informations or this news or a piece of knowledge just right at your fingertips. I guess this is where it goes back to the fundamental, whether we are trusting that particular piece of knowledge that we are reading, that particular piece of information that we are consuming, and that particular news. that you are exposed to. And somehow it redefined the purpose of existence. It's not just within the realm of journalistic or seorang wartawan itu, or a journalist will be redefined. And the purpose of existence, how do you make sure? The question here is, what is your purpose in the era of the intersection between AI, or generative artificial intelligence, and journalistic world? So these are the questions that, or these are the not just the challenges, but also opportunities for content creators, journalists, a news consumer or content consumer, is facing currently at this moment. I guess I'm open that as a fundamental bigger picture for each and every one of us to understand this is the era that we are in today, and we are about to enter another decade where safety, online safety, digital safety will be at the paramount in decision making. So then we will always ask, what is the epitome of that particular crusade, or that particular struggle, to make sure that the purpose of our existence remains strong with regards to, one, enhance the human capacity or the human qualities. Second is to enhance our own product, and at the same time building the whole, not just in every sector, bringing the whole sectors, or whichever sector that you are in, into another greater heights. So I'm open for Q&A to ask about the current scenario that we are facing in terms of content consumption, in terms of media landscape overall. It might varies from one particular geography to another. Like in Jakarta and Kuala Lumpur, we might have a similar or common pattern, but at the same time there are certain differences. And I think this is where we try to meet and understand what are the common factors and common challenges in terms of content consumption and building the trust around the ecosystem. I'm open for discussion, and maybe saudara pengurusi majlis or the moderator would like to start the ball rolling by inviting everyone that have questions to actually come forward and have this discourse.
Okay, maybe I want to start this discussion. For the first discussion, like you say, is the journalism is have a relation with public and government, but in reality, that is the government has a journalism. Like how we trust the press if the journalism have a relation with government. Like the government can manage the journalist as he want to, like this.
Right. I guess, first of all, we need to understand the purpose of being a journalist. I guess, what is our role in this particular realm of between government and society? And when we talk about the in this matter, of course, deep inside our heart and deep inside our brain will always talk about the freedom of press, the freedom of journalism, freedom of speech. And at the same time, I think, to answer your question, the broad spectrum of a journalist actually to be at the focal point of everybody. And we are the mediator to the government, to the society, to the industry, to the businesses, and across all of this spectrum, that we are at the focal point, or we are at the center of all the whole ecosystem. So I think, to answer your question, it's good to have a very good engagement with the government and opposition at the same time. To make it simpler for each and everyone to understand our role as journalists, we engage to the highest position of the country, in this case of Indonesia, is the president, and up to the point that we are talking to the homeless on the street. So that's the broad spectrum of how we make sure that we can be useful in order to be useful to the society, to be useful to the community, and our role to actually be the mediator to connect the knowledge, to enhance the capacity, and to build not just the nation, but also the region, and to build the understanding better within the gaps. And if you ask the question of what is our role and what's the purpose and what's our objective in creating a content, and it goes back and asks the fundamental of those questions needs to be answered. And I guess that's the best, or that's the beauty being a journalist, that you can actually be a connector between the highest position or the power that be, and to the lowest bottom of the society, and by to an understanding and understanding of what's needed in terms of be the focal point to make everyone a great ecosystem, whether it's in community or in the country or in the region at large. So I guess like I would like to quote, for example, like the great philosopher of Indonesia, Hamka, used to say, in this case, is Islamic cleric or an ulama, and the role of ulama is actually to be at the center, to carry the hope of the people, and to make sure that they can exercise the hope of the government as well, the aspiration of the government and the aspiration of the people. And this is where the journalist is, or this is where the community, a media community is. So we are the connector of these two broad spectrum, if you want to talk about understanding what is the role of a journalist and whether it's good to have a very strong engagement with the government of the day. And I think it's good to have a very strong engagement, not just within the government of the day, but also the opposition of the day and civil society organizations, NGOs, across all broad spectrum of society at large. Yeah, I mean, that's the beauty of being, because I'm quite pragmatic and optimistic, and whenever I want to create a content, so it's all about choice, whether you want to see it from which perspective. You want to put the lens of negative first before everything else, or how can we help to close the gaps, or whatever the gaps that we are currently facing, for example. So I guess it goes back to our intention. It goes back to the ability to actually go deeper into what do we want to achieve at the end of the day, and that will define your role, that will define your purpose of existence as a journalist, as a content creator.
Okay, I get it. And now, Mr. Ashwad Ismail, maybe I invite an audience for asking a question to you.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm happy to answer.
Okay, for the audience who wanna ask a question to Mr. Ashwad Ismail, you can use raise hand feature and ask a question. Okay, from Muhammad Ardiansyah.
Okay, thank you, moderator. I think when we talk about disinformation, the main problem of the spreadness of disinformation is not just about the false information itself, but the audience that lack of literacy, readiness, and awareness to distinguish between the true or the false news. So ketika mereka mendapatkan berita gitu, mereka masih belum mengkonfirmasi mana yang benar mana yang salah, tapi udah disebarin aja kemana-mana. Dan I think it will create the vicious cycle due to their unpreparedness to deal with it. So my question is, how can we break this vicious cycle of disinformation and equip people to better identify and avoid false information? Mr. Ashwad, thank you.
Thank you for the question. I guess best based on what we have seen and what we have experienced for the past 17 years of our existence as an Astro Awani. We started back then in 2007, and we've gone through quite a milestone in terms of moving or shifting the goal and making sure that we are always close to the public. I guess to answer the question, it's not just about pushing to their throat of asking or forcing them atau memaksa mereka supaya literasi kamu harus tinggi begitu. Dia lebih kepada more of engagement, because we need to understand one thing. We are in this era of we are in this era of double whammy era of one. We are at the verge, or we are in the constant energy in rebuilding trust, membina kepercayaan dan membina semula keyakinan. Second layer is mengurus ketidakpercayaan, managing distrust and discontent. Mengurus juga anger, kemarahan, kan? Jadi because of these two, I think double, what we call as a double whammy situation, it's important to go back to the fundamental. Kita kembali kepada asasnya. We go back to the fundamental of how do we rebuild trust, and then we keep on asking the same question. Bagaimana harus kita approach atau menggunakan pendekatan apa yang bagaimana untuk membina semula keyakinan atau membina semula kepercayaan, to rebuild trust, whether towards the system or towards the brand, in this case to rebuild trust towards the journalism. So I guess to rebuild trust, because to rebuild trust towards politicians is not our job as journalists. You know, for example, at this particular moment, trust, the least, I'm not sure about, but globally, I'm talking about globally, the least trusted jobs in the world is being a politician. And together with it is the anger, discontent that have morphed into this potential of from distrust towards politicians to distrust towards the system, which is, that is scary, that is dangerous. And how do we play a role in terms of making sure that everyone will play their part effectively dengan begitu berkesan? It's not just about we pushing the content or we pushing, asking, forcing the people. So the best, based on my observation, is you yourself, the human touch is important. To rebuild trust, the best is to go hyperlocal. What I meant by hyperlocal, from where we are at the centrality of the country, for example, me in Malaysia, and we are always in Kuala Lumpur, then we will have to build that strong connection with our audience across all multiple spectrum, not just within digitally, but our presence on ground must be felt in order to have a very strong connection with the people. Hence, you can rebuild the trust better. So that's my answer to your question on making sure that people understand the reality of the content consumption and content distribution, because not everyone was born to be journalists, and then they were not going through the whole process of how a journalistic process happens every single time whenever we receive an information, whenever we want to distribute the information. After that, we have to go through verification processes. We have to go through some parameter of ethical guidelines that will always remain as the guiding principle. So all of this is professionals, but to those people out there, they might not have been exposed properly in terms of how to create content and how to distribute content responsibly. So this is what I meant by constant engagement from a journalist to a citizen journalist, for instance. And with this, we are sharing our knowledge, and they are sharing their excitement as well as their passion to be content creator. And if this kind of discussion, I would like to, if this kind of discussion full of negative perspectives to the discussion, of course, there will be a contestation between citizen journalists and a real professional journalist like us. But does that really matter at this point in time? It does, when it comes to making sure at the end of the day, trust is the crux of content delivery. And second is the integrity of the information, or integrity of the knowledge itself, that the one that you're going to be distributed and to be shared across to the public. will remain as the paramount factors in what we are doing on daily basis. So that's my point to answer your question on it's not as straightforward as asking people increase your literacy, but also the engagement and also the connection between the journalists, the professional content creators, and those citizen journalists or citizen content creators. So yeah, it's actually the symbiosis. We really need this symbiosis. For example, yesterday, the breaking news that we had, there was a fire in one of the tourist attraction in Malaysia in Genting Highlands. We are working closely with those citizen content creators. I mean, not even their creators. They have their own media in their hand, which is they have their iPhone 13, and straight away ask them to, okay, how about, sir, you provide us the live feed of what's happening on ground, and Astro Awani would like to engage with you. So, I mean, this is wonderful. Technological advancement has helped us to strengthen our role as a professional journalist or media channel at large. So I guess this is where I'm coming from, rather than being contentious about the purpose of existence of old traditional media brand versus the new citizen journalists and technological giants like likes of Facebook, Google, and YouTube of the world. I hope I answer your question.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ashwad. I got your point. Thank you for your answer.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Aswad, there is a question from a chat box in a Zoom.
Okay.
I will read it for you. Currently, many videos are edited given different narrative videos from distant places, but captioned as if they were close narrative about ethnicity, religion, race, and intergroup or SERE that are not true and even traps using artificial intelligence. According to the source, how important journalistic ethics is to avoid all kinds of fake news and what complaints journalists really feel at the moment.
Okay. We are the intersection of how do we navigate artificial intelligence in the newsroom. Let me share a bit of background and what we have started back then in 2023 in January. Last year, we have been so-called experimenting for the past 1.5 years. Back in 2022, in October or November, I started to play a lot with ChatGPT. I guess all of us students here, right? So we play a lot with ChatGPT. And after that, then I came to the realization that this particular generative artificial intelligence is here to stay. And the question here is, how do we navigate this particular wave of Gen AI in the media industry, in the newsroom? So we come up with a proper pivot, a bit of pivot in our newsroom. Started in January 2023. I started this what we call as mengahwini dua dunia serentak, mengahwini dua dunia, to marry these two worlds together. The world of generative artificial intelligence and the world of journalism or newsroom. Why this is important? I guess generative artificial intelligence is here to stay. And the world at large has agreed that it has to be regulated. The question here is between the gap is bigger picture, ada gambaran besarnya, the gap atau jurang yang sedia ada adalah the global north, negara-negara maju, and the global south, kita negara-negara bangun dan sedang membangun. Going through now is there must be a red line that cannot be crossed. Everyone agreed. Yes. Perlu diregulasi. Yes. Tetapi seluas mana parameternya itu? How wide is the parameter bergantung kepada whether you have the access to the technology, whether you own the technology, or you are creating that technology. For example, perbincangan di Malaysia pastinya berbeza dengan di Amerika Syarikat, the United States of America, where they are creating that technology. And of course, they want the space to be wider. For example, and in Malaysia, we don't have the expertise to create that. Very limited numbers of people who are creating the machine. or or own the technology. And of course, we wanted the parameter to be pretty much not as wide as people who are creating that technology in America or in China. So this is the bigger picture. Okay, how do we go about this? Now, by having this understanding that the technology or the generative artificial intelligence will reorganize society, will reorganize industries, and definitely will reorganize politics and government and everything in between. And looking at the rate that we are going, and we have to marry these two worlds together, and how are we going to harmonize this? So when we create that, one, we must have a proper, not just a journalistic ethics. Journalistic ethics to me is like a living document that is important and must always, we must make sure that this must be updated all the time, because media will always be defined together with the advancements of technology, right? So that's journalistic ethics. Second is the guidelines, AI guidelines in the newsroom, because we are marrying these two worlds together, and there must be a parameter where, for example, as a journalist, what am I going to do with the ChatGPT? And definitely ChatGPT is not going to replace me. So that's a strong fundamental philosophy. By having this understanding of AI is the tool to help us to enhance human qualities. Second, to enhance our products. So with these two fundamental philosophy, meletakkan asas falsafah itu terlebih dahulu dalam merangka satu budaya baru, to build that new culture in the newsroom, and we must have a proper AI guidelines in the newsroom. Then we start to ask our questions to ourselves as journalists. How do we make sure that we always remain the high quality integrity as a journalist? High quality journalism remain high as the focus and objective, with AI helping us to actually elevate and push these heights greater or higher. So this is, to me, is very important. One, journalistic ethics must be always being updated. Second is AI guidelines. It's like both of them are living document to us in Astro Awani, as well as even myself as a journalist. Yeah. Okay. Let me. Another one is, what complaints journalists really feel at the moment. Okay, complaints is more of sometimes when new things coming up, right? So I was really young when internet was booming in the 90s. I was born in 1985, and in early 90s, I was 5, 6, 7 years old. I was exposed to what internet is all about. So it's about the same feeling now when generative artificial intelligence is here. Okay, it's a normal physics response. When new things appear, the first is always fear. The fear of, psychologically, the fear of unknown, the fear of what's coming. And of course, what we have seen, what we have experienced with generative artificial intelligence, graphic designer will be losing their jobs, right? Even music composer, the one who compose songs, is facing a lot of challenges. Journalistic wise, how do we make sure that audience will always appreciate high quality journalism? With AI around, of course, journalists, there is some sort of fear of concern, and how are we going to make sure that our role will always be there and not going to be replaced by the robots? I think human, fundamentally, why we put that as a fundamental philosophy to enhance human quality and to enhance products, because we want to make sure that human remain as you still have you have a machine, and you still need a man to man behind the machine, right? Because of that, I guess, what differentiate between us and robots, or what differentiate us between a human being and artificial intelligence, is that human being possess strong key intelligence. One is IQ, second is emotional intelligence, which I think our audience or another human being really appreciate and celebrate that. And the third is the spiritual intelligence. Artificial intelligence can challenge this one part, the IQ. ChatGPT can actually beat our ability to actually process a lot of informations, to store a lot of informations. Yeah, IQ, they can actually challenge us. But when it comes to emotional and spiritual, this is what to distinguish the the role of being human with high quality of human being and also a robot. And I think it's not what do you call this? This is not a zero sum game. Ini perlu menang, ini perlu kalah. Bukan begitu ya. Ya lebih kepada bagaimana kita mengharmonikan kedua-dua dunia ini untuk menjadikan keinsanan itu sebagai kekuatan yang utama dan mengukuhkan lagi keinsanan dan kemanusiaan atau manusiawi itu secara asasnya, to strengthen the humanity and to strengthen the ability to actually do a lot of good things in this world. So yeah, that's my answer to Mona. Yes, Mona, I hope I answer your question.
Okay, other audience who wanna ask a question to Mr. Aswad?
Kalau tidak ada question, saya mau bertanya. I would like to
Ah.
ask question. How do you guys feel about
Oh.
the current? How do you guys, I mean, all of you, what do you guys expect? What's your expectation and what's the feelings of where we are today with all of this transition is happening at this moment?
Oh, for the first is I think is journalism. Journalism itself is a freedom for the world because the media give it a reality to us, to the world, to people who is watching oh, sorry, there's a disturb voice. Okay, I will continue my explanation. Like is the journalism itself is a freedom for us to the world, and the journalism itself is sharing a reality from a television, a media, a news, or etc. But the journalism in this era, it's got disturbing, like by government or something like, and we know it's a Palestine. It's a bad news for us journalism who is the journalism didn't say to reality in what's happened in Palestine. Like my thing it's how about this journalism situation for you, like what's happened in this era?
Oh, well, besides what we have seen so far, I think the challenges that have been facing by the humanity is tremendous, and what we have seen, the war is still ongoing, is no difference of what we have seen before. In fact, it becomes or becoming worse and worse on daily basis, and that's on the geopolitical landscape as well as hence why the younger generation will keep on shying away from politics, for example. You know, when these kind of things happening on day-to-day basis, it somehow dampened the whole process to rebuild the trust among the society. I mean, I'm talking about the whole global landscape, to build a better understanding among the humanity. And humanity is at stake when it comes to geopolitical landscape. There's no, as if like the wisdom on strengthening the humanity is becoming more and more secondary, and that is scary. And secondly, with another good part is that relentless effort that's been done internationally. We are talking across what I meant by the humanity, talking across the globe in terms of making sure that there won't be any repetition of the mistake of the past. For example, Oppenheimer, for example, of is a wild west of the world of social media, and now we are at this juncture of another decade of artificial intelligence, which everyone is putting really concern on safety, on the security as well. So I guess this is important and good to see this kind of conversation happens. These dialogues is happening across the globe as well. So as long as we are talking to each other, and not working in silo, I think it's important for us to really not just looking into our own scope, small silo scope of community, but also the humanity at large. So I think that is on the technological challenges. Besides that, from economic perspective, how are we going to make sure that it's really bring back um, um, not is about just and equitable growth across the globe. So we don't want the disparity or inequality to actually widen the gaps between societies or between regions or even between countries. So of course, lain padang, lain belalang, kan? Different field with a different situation and challenges. But as long as we are talking to each other, like we go back to the fundamental of our, we used to say this, tidak kenal maka tidak cinta. I think we need to engage more in order to build a better understanding, at least in creating a common objective and common goal. Whatever you do within the economic change, for example, as long as you have a very strong fundamental to make sure it's sustainable, just and equitable, and strengthening the humanity and good for the society. I think if we stick to this fundamental of what being a human is supposed to be, and not being overshadowed and clouded by greedy, by who wants to have more, when and how, I think we can improve the situation further. And of course, we cannot put heavy reliance on anybody. But the most important first, what are we going to do good by ticking all the boxes that I have just mentioned just now? Yeah.
Okay, after you mentioned like if you wanted to be a journalism, like thinking about economics, geopolitics, and society, I think before I built a public trust, I just built a trust of myself to live up this wage this wage of journalism. Okay, and thank you. That is for my question. And this from the audience that wanna be ask a question. His name is Alia.
Okay,
Oh,
Alia.
MC. He wanna ask you a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Ukaasyah. And I want to ask to Mr. Ashwad. So, what do you think about the limitation of journalism? Sometimes the new yang mau kita sampaikan itu cenderung bahaya. And kadang kita juga mendapat tekanan kan kayak, oh jangan deh ini bahaya gitu. Shall we just share it or we play it safe as a journalist?
Well, good question. This is, this kind of questions is always relevant to journalists, whether they are junior journalists, just started as a journalist, or even the senior 40 years experience as a journalist. Why? Because pertama sekali kita juga adalah sebahagian daripada proses sosialisasi masyarakat itu ya. Wartawan ini bukan datangnya dari langit diturunkan untuk society. Dia journalists are also part of the process socialization process. Terkandung bersama dengannya, together with it, is the biasness. And how do we make sure that we always be objective in whatever that we are doing? And of course, there are many layers to that. If you are working with one particular organizations that owned by a politician, and you have to, there will be a contestation, a dilemma within yourself that what is right and what are you supposed to do according to the standard party line of your particular owner. And I'm glad that I'm working for Astro Awani. I'm running Astro Awani that we don't have that problem, and it was a clear mandate that we are have been given to me that we have to be the most impartial news channel in Malaysia. And since we don't belong to either government or politician, so we are the sweet spot of being the most trusted news brand in Malaysia. But that kind of questions always in our head, in our heart, in day-to-day basis as journalists, because the limitation, the scope, to what extent that you want to push, or to what extent that you want to play this particular piece of, you want to push or distribute this particular piece of information or this particular piece of knowledge. So it goes back to your objective, I guess. Despite whatever limitation that you have, or whether is wide, whether it defined, there are many sides to look at it. It's like a half glass and full glass kind of conversation. For example, in this case, if we push this kind of piece of information, for example, does this do good to the society? So that's always been remain the most when we decide whether we want to push that particular information or not. I think it varies from one situation to another. Certain, of course, will be facing, and that particular journalist or that particular media organization understands what's coming if they push. There will be a repercussion, whether it's from society, whether it's from government, whether it's from the opposition, whether it's from many sectors. And let's usually it revolve around story content, news about politics, and news about policies that matters, and there will be a lot of debate around it. And our role is, our guiding principle is to make sure that, one, we bring as much as we can in terms of perspective around that particular piece of information, or not just information, but also knowledge, as well as topic or issues. So how many voices, how much voices that we can actually put on the table? Because our role is not to influence. Our role is to make sure that we help to provide as much information to help the society, whether it's a business community, whether it's community at large, whether it's a policymakers, to make well-informed decision. So I guess despite the limitation, whether we have the freedom to be free in terms of, we do have freedom to be free, but always be guided with guiding principle, rules and regulations, ethics. In this case, in Malaysia, kita mendakap kemas perlembagaan persekutuan seperti mana, dan juga prinsip rukun negara, seperti mana di Indonesia mendakap kemas prinsip Pancasila. Then I think we always be guided. There's no such thing as absolute freedom, because absolute freedom must, even success must be managed. Kejayaan juga harus diurus, dan kejayaan itu tidak sebesar-besar kejayaan itu dan selama-lamanya. Dan I think this is what important for us to understand. Being a journalist, there are parameters. As a human being, there are parameters. And why religion exists, for example, sebagai contoh, why religion exists adalah sebagai pedoman untuk memandu kehidupan, to drive. How do we live? As to guide us. How are we going to drive? And I think that is important as a journalist as well. How do you see it? sometimes dalam keadaan yang sempit juga mempunyai ruang yang sangat luas untuk berkarya dan berkreativiti dalam konteks bernegara dan bermasyarakat. I hope I answer your question, Alia.
I'm sorry, can you
I hope
repeat?
I hope I answer your question.
Okay. Thank you to Mr. Ashwad.
Thank you.
I think I get all the answer of these questions.
Thanks.
Okay, for the next audience, who wanna ask a question to Mr. Ashwad Ismail? There's one person wanna be wanna be ask you a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, thank you for Ukaasyah. As we all know that you are editor-in-chief at Astro Awani, so I want to ask you a question. What are the steps does your media take to ensure the news presented is accurate and reliable? Thank you so much.
Sorry, again, can you repeat that question because the line wasn't that clear.
I want to ask you a question. What are the steps does your media take to ensure the news presented is accurate and reliable?
Oh, okay, good. Thank you for the question. I guess the steps that we put in place as a news channel that we always go through several layers, at least three layers of verification processes. Once we receive the information, for example, in this case, we receive the information from social media, for example, from our audience themselves who share their information. We always have these three layers of verification with the local authorities, with another layer of authorities, and another layer of verification process. And that's first fundamental three layers. And another step is that going through another layer of making sure that that piece of information have fulfilled all of this accuracy elements with editors, and from there we blast out to the audience, multiple platforms, not just the old platform of TV and astroawani.com, but also those information travels across all multiple platform of social media. I guess that is fundamental of how a content flows before they arrive to the audience or to the community. And once we receive that information, I guess that's the basic steps that we've been practicing all this while. And yeah, that we just want to make sure that all of our informations are credible, accurate, and also at the same time we are really making sure that the speed must be there. But of course, when the people ask me whether which comes first, the speed or the speed or uh, the credibility of the information. Of course, the credibility information is paramount after the speed. So I mean before the speed. So we must make sure that each and every information that we blast or share across must be well verified, and getting all the facts must be right, and that differentiate us between a normal citizen journalism and also professional news channel or professional news brand. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Aswad, for your answer.
Thank you.
Okay, other audience who wanna ask a question to Mr. Ashwad? there's one person who wanna ask you a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Ukaasyah and Mr. Ashwad. So from your previous answer, you just said that the journalist should be objective. But I've heard some case where the journalists being subjective because they got paid from it. Yeah. So what do you think of it?
Oh yeah, like I said, it's part of um the whole ecosystem that it goes back to the fundamental of economics. Some people always approach journalists and ask journalists to do a lot of things, right? And some will get paid and they have under payroll of certain, for example, figures or prominent figures or politicians or stuff like that. And I think that's just against the whole principle of being a journalist. And being a journalist means that we are working for the brand of that organizations that we are working with. And once anything that comes in the form of that monetary or financial support or from other than that, to me, that question the level of integrity of a journalist. I think that's wrong. To answer your question, that is wrong, and we're not supposed to do that. And to get paid as journalists or hired on a different basis for their services, for example, like strategic communication consultancy, stuff like that, I think it's fine. You are providing the services. But to pay, to use money to control um that journalist from being critical towards you, and that is wrong.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ashwad, for your opinion.
You have a lot of have you heard that kind of cases a lot in Indonesia as well?
Yeah, there are so many cases like that
Right.
in Indonesia.
I think if we want to go deeper and understand further about what we have seen so far at a larger scale is that the post-COVID-19 and the current economic system is not producing a healthy environment from capitalism perspective. It's not creating a healthy environment for the society. For example, the inequalities and high cost of living that's happening across the globe. Uh, Harganya semakin laju naik semakin cepat, tetapi gajinya tidak naik begitu cepat. I think that's the fundamental of people need to survive, and some will um, resort to this kind of approach kerana ini jalannya cepat. Tetapi dia bersanggah dengan prinsip. Dia melanggari tata cara dan tata kelola integriti. Dan itu adalah sesuatu yang salah. Tapi if we go deeper into the real cause of problems, sometimes it can be that. We have that's small numbers of cases in Malaysia that some journalists are getting outside money from certain ex figures of prominent politicians, and just to make sure that this group of won't be critical and helps them in terms of a lot of things. Is the mean of control also at the same time. And I think even our industry at large are facing almost the same thing from the whole economic realm of the current situation of high cost of living, the wage is not as high that can support on their day-to-day living, stuff like that. And hopefully that thing won't be the reason why we should go against the principle of being a journalist. Okay, is there any other questions? Ukaasyah?
Okay, for other audience, is there any question? Okay, one more for the audience. There's a question more. Mr. Aswad, because there's no question more, I think I will close this section.
Okay, thank you very
Okay,
much.
before and we finally come to the end of the seminar. Before I close the seminar, I would like to take the conclusion from what the speaker has presented. But before I take a conclusion, I think your material is very a lot, and if I made the if I make a conclusion, it will be long. So I just mention three or some. Like the first is you don't believe easily with a news, and you must looking for other sources, and especially for content consumption. The second is like journalism have a great relation like with society, geopolitics, humanity, and economic. And the third is journalistic independence from economic and political influences, as well as information is crucial for ensuring the integrity and reliability. Okay, maybe the conclusion for me is like
Okay, thank
now.
you very much.
Sorry if my conclusion is short.
No, no, that's good. That's good. That's spot on.
Okay, I'd like to thank the speaker for the informative and interesting conversation and all the participants for the very active participation. Before we close our presentation, allow me to give a certificate to Mr. Ashwad Ismail in this section. To the commit, can you show a certificate? Okay. This is a certificate for a speaker, Mr. Ashwad Ismail.
Thank you very much. I would like to extend my gratitude to the rest of you, and I'm glad to have this kind of conversation with all the students. I hope that what's coming later on, you'll be focusing more good things to the society and not going to repeat all of the previous mistakes that what we have seen before this. And thank you to the State University of Jakarta, Faculty of Economics, and especially this, to me, very renowned and great School of Press, Econochannel, and this event of building the public trust. Thank you very much, everybody.
Can I take this documentation section before we leave the Zoom?
Sure, go ahead.
With a certificate? Okay, I can lead this documentation session. 3, 2, 1, cheese. Okay, one more. 3, 2, 1, cheese. Okay. Okay, Mr.
Thank you.
Ismail, Mr. Aswad Ismail.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you too. I think he's a great, better journalist. Georges, I think he's good for a great salute for you.
I thank you very much. And we are still young. In fact, Astro Awani, one of the youngest media brand in Malaysia. And I'm hoping to see all of you. Please come over to Malaysia and have have a coffee with all of us in Astro Awani. We are small, not that big. Come over to Kuala Lumpur and come over to the Technology Park Malaysia. And yeah, that's where our newsroom is, the All Asia Broadcast Center, or Astro, is. So we open our door widely for you guys. All of you 90 over people, come over to Malaysia and enjoy. Yeah, and I hope to see you guys in Jakarta as well. Most probably within this year. I'll let you know. Especially well, Nabila has my number if you need to reach out to us at any time.
Okay, maybe Nabila can share a number of yours.
Sure, no problem at all. We'd love to have this conversation further and take this discussion further. Okay, guys. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bye, Mr. Ashwad Ismail.
Much, Mr. Ashwad.
Okay, because my time is up in this session, so I will return it back to the MC. For MC, time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Ukaasyah, for moderating the second sessions of our event. As we expected before, the second session is exciting as the first one.
Yes, it is. And also, we would like to thank Mr. Ashwad Ismail for sharing your insightful knowledge and the sharing session that made the session even more engaging.
That's right. I'm sure all the knowledge and the experience that were just shared by Mr. Ashwad will be very beneficial for all the participants here.
Of course, and everyone, the end of the second session also remarks the end of our event today.
But before we end our event, we will announce something very exciting. What do you think it is, Afia?
I think it's time for the prize winner announcement.
Yep, that's right. We will announce the winner based on 5 nominations. What is it all about, Afia?
The 5 nominations are Best Simulations, Best Questions, Games Winner number 1, Games Winner number 2, and Most Active Participant.
So, can anyone guess what we are going to announce first?
Okay, so we're going to announce the winner of Best Simulations. To the operator, can you help us to show the screen? Okay, and the award for Best Simulations goes to...
Ding, 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 ding.
Ding.
Who is it? Congrats to Muhammad Ardiansyah for winning the best simulations.
Yay! Dear Ardiansyah, are you here in the Zoom?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi Ardi, now let's take a picture with the winner.
Dear operator, can you help us to take a screenshot? One, two, three. Okay, thank you, operator. Next slide. And next, the winner of Best Questioner is going, to... Ding, 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 ding.
Congratulations to Taufik for winning the best questions.
Thank you.
Yay! Hi, Taufik. Are you here?
Yes, I am.
Hi Taufik, now let's take a picture with you.
What?
But first, can you show us
Show
your
face.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, it's okay. We will wait.
Sorry, my device no support background.
It's okay.
It's okay, it's okay. Okay, dear operator team, can you help us to take a screenshot? Okay, I will count in 3, 2, 1.
Okay, thank you, operator, and congratulations to Taufik. Now, let's move on to the exciting part. The winner of Games Winner number 1 is...
Ding, 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 ding.
Ding, 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 ding.
Who is it? Okay, congratulations to Mona for winning the games winner.
Yay! Hi, Mona, are you here?
Hello,
Okay.
Mona. Are you here with us?
Okay. Since Mona is not in the Zoom, so we will let her know in the group chat.
Okay. Now we are moving to another next word. Okay, the winner of the games winner is...
Ding, ding, ding. Congratulations to Farhan Zain for winning the games winner number 2.
Dear Farhan, are you here with us?
Okay. Okay, since Farhan is not in the Zoom, so we will let him know in the broadcast that will be sent in the group chat.
Okay, now we will move to another word. Okay, now the word for the most active participant goes to... Ding, ding, ding. Who is it? Who is it? Okay, congratulations to Mona for being the most active participant.
Yay, congratulations, Mona. But since Mona is not here, we will let her know from the group chat.
Okay, congratulations to all our amazing participants and winners. We have taken photos with speaker 1, speaker 2, the moderator, and the winning participant. However, it feels like something is missing. What do you think, Avya?
I think we haven't taken a photo with all the participants here. So, all participants are expected to turn on their cameras for the documentation session. So, the operator team, please help us in guiding the documentation session.
Okay, to the all participants, please turn on your camera for the documentation sessions.
Okay, I will help to count down. 3, 2, 1. Slide. Okay, next slide. 3, 2, 1. Okay, next slide. 3, 2, 1.
Okay, the documentation sessions mark the end of our International SPEC 2024 event today. We would like to thank all of you who have participated in this event from the beginning to the ending.
I am Afia.
And I'm Alia.
On behalf of ourselves and the other committee, we sincerely apologize for any mistakes and shortcomings in this International SPEC 2024.
Both of us at today MC are signing off. Thank you for everyone present. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you
Bye
for today.
all.
See you next time. Bye.
Sodakallah.
Bye.
Congratulations.